Malo le soi fua mo, malalangi mama. I hope that we are well met under clear skies. As always, my name is Bryan Leilor, and I'm from RTLB Cluster 12. Malo Ben.
Malo Bryan. Malo everyone, talanoa, and welcome to another episode of On the Air with B&B. Today we've got a special guest that's going to be joining us this morning, Malia Tuala, former cluster manager of Cluster 5. Was it Cluster 6, Bryan? I think it was Cluster 6, wasn't it? Yeah. Former cluster manager of Cluster 6. Currently working at Massey University as one of the coordinators for the RTLB revamped course paper. And today she's going to be joining us, and she's going to be sharing a lot of insights, a lot of knowledge, a lot of practice, and how we can support our communities through specific initiatives. So welcome, Malia.
Let's go.
Talanoa, malo lovely lele. Welcome, Malia, to our podcast. This is another episode with being on the Airbnb with Ben and Bryan. But I like the way you said breezy, rains, bright and breezy. I love that. So I actually might use that now. Just to begin with, Malia, tell us a little bit about well, I'm breezy. You're bright.
Thank you.
I think. Malia, tell us a little bit about yourself and your family and where you're from.
Well, talanoa Ben and Bryan, malo le soi fua malalangi mama, and warm greetings from Ranui in West Auckland. So, origins, born in Samoa. My parents migrated here with my siblings in 1971. I did the whole Catholic schooling upbringing, so from St. Joseph's, then to Macaulay, and then I actually did a journalism course right after school, because I was either social welfare, because everyone from school was going there, or inland revenue, that were our options, or university. And I really didn't want to go to university, so I thought, but I loved learning, so I did a journalism course at Manukau Tech. And then I got a job up north in Dargaville, working in this small rural town in a newspaper that was called the Northland Times, and it was 4 pages long. Oh, so when I used to write stories, it would always be on the front page. But such an eye-opener, because I'd never left Otahu. That's where I was brought up. And to go to Dargaville to learn a new craft, to be immersed in only English, and to know, so when I was there, and I would go and interview people would ask me, what iwi am I from?
Wow.
Thinking I was Māori. So when I said I was Samoan, then it was like, well, where is that? So so I had to kind of double explain myself, my name, but where I was from. And when I would say, Otahu or Tahuhu, they would say, yeah, but where are you really from? Hey. So I got to kind of know that side of New Zealand as well, because I was different. And then while I was there, that was in the, I think, early 90s, and newspaper jobs there were hardly any jobs, and that's why I went up the first place. So when I was coming back home, because I missed my family, I think I was about 20, there were no jobs, but I wanted to stay in that kind of news journalism kind of space. And I ended up getting a job as the librarian at the New Zealand Herald Library.
Wow.
So I was in and it was such an amazing job, because you know what I did all day? I read the paper. So there was a team of 8 of us, and we'd each get like 10 copies of the Herald, and then each story was coded. So it was cut up and archived in different, parts of the different folders in the library. So that was real old school manual stuff. And so now it's all digitized and everything. And I was there for a few years, and then, I thought, I better get a real job. Because, unemployment was like, just skyrocketing at that stage in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So I thought, and my younger sister, Maria, she was the one who wanted to be a teacher. And when she told me of her plan, I was like, nah, I don't want to be a teacher. I actually don't like kids. So
Yeah, who'd want to be
it
a
was just
teacher?
took too much energy. I already had nieces and nephews. I already knew. And then, but when it came down to it, it was like, what do I love doing? What's a career that's going to be like there forever? What strengths and talents can I bring to this role? And so teaching became it. So did my 3 years where I met Ben. Ben was in my class. Hardly saw him, but yeah, he was in my class. It was amazing. And so another kind of
Bryan.
Oh, Bryan, sorry, Ben. I think he came later.
I know we look alike, but no, yeah.
Remember, I'm the better looking
He's too
one.
young. He's too young.
I'm the better looking one.
The breezy one is, Yep. Bright, breezy, and Brady. That's you three. That's you two.
So you didn't do maths, obviously.
It's funny because I've actually been saying Ben's name all weekend. It's funny that.
Oh, that's an honor. Thank you.
But it was Bryan. I met Bryan at just college. Yeah, and the funny thing is, now when I'm out and about, there's many people I went to teachers college with that are now in positions of leadership, or they're doing something in relation to education. So a wonderful kind of circle to be part of. And then so I went to college, and I taught him for 15 years in a whole lot of different schools across Auckland. I think the beauty of that 15 years was I got the best jobs. Like I was in a classroom, for a few years doing the teacher stuff, but I got all these different types of roles. So I was the music specialist at Greyland School for a year because, I was doing part-time work because my son was young. So, when the principal interviewed me for this role, he wanted a music specialist. Greyland, they were going to be doing like the classical. And I said to him, you know what? I don't have the formal education training. I can't read music, but I can play the guitar. I know a lot of songs that, we like to sing. So he said, okay, then. So I went in and just loved that. I've been a teacher in a multi-bilingual unit. So, working with the whānau, being part of the kapahaka, joining and all that. And so when I joined that class at Ranui School, they immediately gave me the name Whaia Malia. And that has always stayed with me. Even when I became an RTLB, I would say to people, this is the RTLB, what's your name? And I go, oh, it's Whaia Malia. And that, so when I would introduce things like that, people would often frown because, you should have a formal name. You're a professional in a school. The kids kind of shouldn't be calling you that. I said, well, that's my name. So anyway, so Whaia Malia stayed with me. And it was funny because the Pacific teachers would ask my daughter, who was at the same school, are you Māori? My daughter going, no, we're Samoan. And they went, oh, okay. It's the term they've given me, but I'm actually Samoan. So, the nice thing was like everyone owned me. I belonged to our Pacific and I belonged to our Māori whānau. And that was the most beautiful thing.
You're from Ngāti Hamua, aren't you?
Apparently, DNA, I'm Ngāti Parau and proud.
I just clicked.
Sorry, Ben will get that later. Okay, and so you became a teacher. So tell us how you became RTLB, the cluster manager. How did you get to there from teacher?
Okay, so I did my last final year at Ranui because it's my local school and my children go to the school. And I had just won a senior leader position. It was February, beginning of the year. And so I was planning and somebody sent me a link and it had this RTLB role on it. And the reason why I looked was it had Pacifica RTLB. And I had never heard of an RTLB, but it was like 2007. Wow. Really? The service had been going like for 10 years at least. And we hadn't seen RTLBs in our schools. So I had a look at it. It was a real brief description. You're going to be helping. All I saw was helping support Pacific families and communities. And I went, that's me. And the most lovely thing about that job was like 3 minutes from my house up the road. It's literally up the
Wow.
road.
Cool.
So blessings, eh?
Mm,
But
mm.
I went because I was tagged. I said, whatever this role is, I'm going to do it because it's about our communities. Yeah,
Right.
so it was, now it's called Cluster 5 in West Auckland, up here in Don Buck School, it was based at.
Mhm.
And funny that because the cluster manager there now is my former cluster manager and a mentor to me when I became cluster manager. So that's how I began, and I went into the RTLB service, and I never met another Pacific RTLB. And I was like, I can't be the only person doing, the mahi, this really critical support service for our schools, for our Pacific communities. And am I the only one? So I began to look for people, and I might find one or two, far away, and they were doing their own mahi.
Mhm.
And yes, but I persevered because it was about our communities. But I learned how to do the job in that RTLB. I had these mentors, these older RTLBs, very experienced, who mentored me into the role to be able to go and do the work. So, and it was that traditional model of centralized referral service. So I got to go everywhere. And even though I was the Pacific RTLB, I ended up working with all children and also connecting with all the agencies out here in West Auckland. Yeah,
Nice.
so I was there for maybe 3 years, and I decided to go back to the classroom.
Mm.
I wanted to feel the burn, and I got burnt in that year 1 class.
Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah.
I was gifted this beautiful class of 30 children with additional learning needs, and they were 5 and 6.
One of the hardest levels to teach.
Yeah.
One of the
Year
hardest
0 and
levels.
1.
That's
So
one of my
I got,
nightmares.
yeah, I got taught by those year 1s and year 2s.
Oh yeah.
So
I think as you teach along, as you go, as you move from level to level, you find that most of them actually end up in high school because they seem to think that it's a lot more easier. You don't have to worry about all the needs of these kids when they're young. But interesting.
I'm the greatest admirer of new entrant teachers. I am.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
My wife's one. Yeah, Priscilla's one. My wife is one. Year
Well
0
done,
1.
Priscilla.
Yeah, that's a hard job.
Yeah.
We need our best teachers at that level.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They can solve a lot of problems if they can teach the kids.
Yeah. And so I've sort of taught across the sector, but where I really learned to admire those new entrants is when I was at Ranui before I became an RTLB, and I was the full-time CRT for Ranui School.
Yep.
So I taught there were 24 classrooms, every class at least 3 times a year. I met these children. So when I got to do the year 1 thing, I thought I had to put my running shoes on, had to have my V in the morning,
Yeah.
Wow.
I could feel I had eyes all around my head. It was that, eh? And then when I sat down at 3 o'clock on the chair, I was like, I couldn't get up for an hour.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's where my great admiration comes for our junior teachers, especially the year 1s. Yeah, so I was in this year 1 class, and I guess the principal thought, she's an RTLB, let's just put all our children in there. They taught me so much, eh? And then they kind of got me ready to go back and fight the good fight. And so I ended up in New Lynn, the cluster next door to cluster 5.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I learned to become a leader. Learned to become a leader in the formal sense of leading a team and then leading a cluster. So that the cluster 6, and I loved they were contrasting clusters. So you had cluster 5 at that time, who was quite methodical, very structured, strong, process and systems. And then I went to cluster 6, same thing, strong process and systems, but they had this confidence in their RTLBs to do different things too, to be innovative, to be curious about their schools. And for me, the real thing was they had a different model. Their model of service was that each RTLB just got 2 schools. And I realized that is the gold.
Right.
So you're able to build relationships. And the most important thing for me is that the school feels confident in you, and you feel confident, but you're also credible. So I think that was the main, the key advantage of that model is that you build the strongest relationships. You are invited to the decision-making table. You're not just one of these people who you just see in the staff room and off they're gone, rushing through looking busy. Right? And you were able to understand teachers. You were able to make connections with families, and you could see things through. I think that was the biggest advantage of this model. And the schools I know, because I used to do the, feedback and review, appreciated they knew the RTLB and the RTLBs. And then when there were new people coming in, the Senkos, because I knew our process, were able then to support the new RTLBs coming in, because we already had these established ways of connecting and doing things. And that model at the time was, frowned upon by other clusters. I guess that's the thing about working in Cluster 6 under Eng Leong. He's my mentor and now the manager at Cluster 5 of Cluster 6. That was that being innovative, and being responsive to individual cases. That we're not just coming with a program and a plan. We're actually tailoring things to meet the needs. And then, we didn't have time frames. We just worked with the family and learners and teachers until they were ready to move on. So I think for me, that cluster was a cluster who really had strong values about collaborative practice, relational practice, and they held on to that in the way we designed the systems and provided support. But difficult, because a lot of clusters don't work like that. But for me, at the end, as a manager, as I learned from my leader, you've got to plan from the perspective of schools to plan a really good service, design it so it meets the needs of schools.
Would you say your programs need to be a reflection of our community? Whatever support we provide should be a reflection of how we serve our community.
And more importantly, it is co-designed. It is co-designed to meet their timeframes, meet their resources. It's not something you just come and plant. Then it comes too hard, then they biff it. And there's a principle that's missing in our Hepi Korua and in our practice, and it's a really important one, sustainability, because we are a limited resource in all the ways, our people, our time, our funding, our resources. So how can we still do really good stuff and keep it sustainable? So when we're out of the picture, it carries on with the school.
I think that covers under Mana Motuhake. Mana Motuhake is the part where they empower. It's about empowering others. So they have. I don't think it's been made explicit enough, and I think that's where the RTLB, most RTLB have. That's where not the issue, but that's probably where the most work is needed. Sustainability is definitely something that we need to revisit again, because we seem to be getting, most clusters may have the same re-referral come back a month later or even weeks later. So I can understand what you're saying about sustainability.
And also, I think within school processes themselves, often they're bombarded with initiatives, programs, and often they don't see things through. And then it's chucked out because it didn't work. Actually, you didn't kind of embed it, design the system so it works. And I know that because another role in education I've had is as a board chair. So I've had 13 years, and I just stepped back last year, 13 years in governance in a secondary Catholic school, girls' school, and then in my local primary school. So having that other strategic, future-focused picture of schools helps in my work. In my work as a cluster manager, in my work at Massey. But I think for me, it is about keeping me grounded. Having these huge kind of up here ideas about what schools need, when I know down here it is about supporting that teacher, supporting that whānau, connecting positively with agencies to wrap around our learners. So governance is a really useful perspective to see through, and also my role there is to support the principal, because we're all about the school.
And you've done some amazing work with working in the schools when you were working in cluster 5, cluster 6.
Cluster
the
5
work that
and
you've done in
cluster.
secondary schools. Yeah, both clusters. The amazing work you've done. It's come the stories we hear. It's about the wonderful work in the Mahi. You've even done some work in cluster 10 as well, helping schools out here and working with principals. So big ups to you, lots of accolades. Just moving on. So, talking about Tautei Pacific, where did it actually all begin? And where did you come up with that idea? Because that's probably important. It's important to know how this all came about and where we're at, because to be honest, where we've come, how far we've come in the last 3 years is very far in supporting our RTLB across the Motu. But we just want to know some background. How did this all begin?
It begins back in cluster 5 when I sat there and I thought, where are the Pacific people? So before I became the cluster manager in 2017, I had met a couple of Pacific people, and I was always kind of, let's get together, but it never happened. And there is no opportunity to do that. People, I notice about the clusters, they stay within clusters. They don't go across, unless it's some big ministry collaborative thing. But everyone looks after their own stuff, which is all good. So when I became, and leadership has always been a big passion of mine, because I think it's about influencing, inspiring people. I mean, when you're grassroots down here doing the best, you can only do the best with what's around you. But I learned that leadership, you can influence a lot of people. And I think for me, the key role of leadership is not only to influence, it's all good to influence with no action. So what's the point? So I guess the big word for me around leadership is, how do you mobilize? And you mobilize through collective effort, shared vision, big heart. So when I became the cluster manager, I thought, I'm here now. I have this potential influence. What can I do? And I had heard about different people, there was Ben, there was Rose, there was Seema, there was, people scattered around the place. So I thought, why don't I just put a call out and see who comes to have a Pacific RTLB meeting in 2018. And so Russell Silver, I give this to him because he tells the story all the time. So Malia went out into the car park and said, "Where are you, fellas?"
Could have just
He
sent
tells
an
that
email,
story.
but yeah.
But I did send an email. So we
Oh,
identified everyone. But this is how he tells the story, that I went in the car park and yelled out. But, so I wrote an email and then we identified the people. So when I became a cluster manager, I also thought, okay, I've got this many Pacific, learners and community in my cluster. And I was also looking at the Māori communities, and these are the priorities as it's outlined in the funding and service agreement. And so I thought I expanded my leadership team. Yes, I'll have the practice leaders, to support the practice, but I also need the expertise of the people from the community. So I set up 2 roles. They were called the Pauawhina. And one was for a Māori leader and one was for a Pacific leader. So again, different, but this is what I needed to lead the cluster. And so from there, then I talked to my Pauawhina. We talked about, why don't we have a look and see if we can create something? And then we identified people and sent it out, and they came in that morning in August. When 17 of them came to the cluster, to the office, I was waiting inside because we're going to have a official porphyry. And when you guys came through the door, it was emotional. I was tearful because I thought, I've been in this role, a long time now, and this is the first time I've seen my Pacific ainga come together. And when you came in, I recognized all the individual faces, but together, I know there was this glow in the room. And I thought, this is a new day.
Yeah. And
we were already connected. We came in the door, we sat down on the chairs. We were already connected. And that's how it began. And we had all these activities. So Russell and Donna Southworth, my Pauawhina, planned this day. It was all going to be about talanoa. And that's where we set the Fufolali Whana. Let's unfurl our mat so we can speak. Let's talanoa. And by the end of that day of sharing, we had come up with a vision. We'd come up with our name, Tautei. Because when we thought about it, we're in this space where we don't know, but we've come together. But we do have a destination and we do have a vision. We don't know how it's going to work out, but we know this for a fact. We want to connect. Because just from that day, it filled our spirits, you know, because we're out there wandering out there on our own, but together we can do some amazing things. And the space is really set up for the soul. You know, the RTLB work fills up the practice stuff and the knowledge but this space is for the soul, for our spirits, because it is quite a lonely thing, especially when you're the only Pacific RTLB in the cluster. And it's just, so we just, from that day on, we committed to this network, and we named it Tautei, you know, the Master Navigators, because we are sailing we're not quite sure yet, but we know where we're going and we have a vision.
It's so amazing to think where we are right now, and then you can trace it back to that first meeting 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And it came from everyone, the name, the vision, and we don't know, you know, like that Moana song, we don't know, but we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
So and
But
beyond.
It's sharing that collective vision, you know, seeing it together as a collective makes it even stronger. That we all know where we're going to, we all know where we need to get to. It's harder to do it. You're right, it is harder to do it on your own, but together you're strong. And I think that's how all clusters should be working together. You work as a collective, moving forward. You know?
Yeah. I think for us, for Tautei, we started that first meeting at the same level. I was the cluster manager. There's probably a couple of practice leaders in that space. We are just people. We're family. And I think that's what I love the most about our space. You know, like we email each other. Hey, Uso. Hey, sister. You know, who does that? Hey, we do that. And it's not like we share really, really deep things. We don't need to do that because we trust each other. Hey?
And it's a familiar space for us. You know,
it's a familiar space. And, you know, there's no expert leader thing. You know, our newest people can come in. They're teaching us. So we all have wisdom. And I think, you know, I find this sometimes, it's very annoying, but you know, people often say to me in a meeting, after a meeting, I will say some things, but after that, they'll always say, you're really quiet in there. For me, that I don't know how they see that. I'm being respectful. Because I actually want to hear what everyone's got to say before I need to say what I say. So I think that our nature of that being quiet, being humble, that's not because we don't have anything to say, but we're that respectful. We're going to listen to you before we give our gold. And we're not just going to share a whole lot of rubbish. As we're considering all the different perspectives, we're also refining what is need to be said at that time. So I find, I guess that for me is being not a challenge. It's an annoyance when you're Pacific and you get to be a leader and sit in those spaces.
Simon Sinek says that for leaders, you should be the last person to speak in the room. Because if you speak first, then everybody just does whatever you said. But if you're the last person to speak, you can hear what everybody says and then make an informed decision. Thinking about Tautei and where it is now, what are some of the successes? What are some of the great things that have happened? And then what's your dream for where you would like it to go in the future?
This is something I remind everyone, you know, when we come together and we share what we're doing and when people are sharing, it's so inspiring. It inspires other people to do more. And my thing first is for anything you're doing has to impact on your cluster and your community. And there's no point doing stuff all over the place and yet your cluster is missing out. So I think grounding it in your own community, building it up, has been a strong principle of the Tautei network. It's grounded in our own work. And then as we are growing things, then it is shared out across, you know, like we're doing now for Tautei Plus. I think for me, it's that that commitment first to communities. From there, we grow the stuff that then can be shared. Look what we're doing here. Like, people then take that as evidence because you've done it. You've learned the hard way how to do this thing well. They pick it up and they carry it on. So it grows. The stuff grows. And because we are doing it in our clusters, those are models for other clusters who are trying to do stuff too. And then thinking about, so people are always going, and I know, there's 30 of us in a workforce of 1,000. How can we make a bigger influence? So that whole thinking about how to include non-Pacific, and then thinking about the Tautei Plus to expand that influence.
Yeah.
And that Tautei Plus only came about because I was leaving. I was going to Massey. But I wanted to maintain this connection because a lot of our Tautei people are studying. So for me, I'm the kind of bridge. And then whatever we grow, I can take back to the program. And then I can also take what the program, all the things that come from there back to Tautei. And I maintain this research evidence-based strand for Tautei. And plus this is the soul. That's why I'm still connected. But it was that I was leaving and I thought, how do we grow this further? And also because I was leaving the network in that sense, I can't just leave and not have a leadership plan. So what is my succession plan? Distributed leadership. And let's grow other leaders. And I had this group, and when I was thinking about it, and when I talked to this Tautei Toa, they're called, it's an amazing group of 5 Pacific RTLB. My criteria, I think it was about loyalty, tautua. When I was thinking about the Tautei, the leadership group.
Service.
Service, Who are the people that have been on this journey since day one? Who are the people that come to every whānau? Who are the people that get excited about the work? Who are the people that are committed? So, I came up with all these names, but it came down to 5 people. And then I wanted to, I didn't want to lose the gold from the people who had left. So we have an opportunity for our Pacific RTLB who have gone to stay connected because they're all in different workspaces in education, and we can all come back and, about adding to the kete, adding to our kete, spreading our influence. So I guess that was, as I was leaving, I had to have a succession plan, and Tautei Toa is the succession plan. And as people, as we grow, we will add, people will leave. But it's my understanding of leadership. Sometimes you get an awesome person, they leave and it all falls apart. Or it collapses. And all that good stuff disappears. So again, sustainability. So as we are told, we add on as people leave off. So it continues to grow. And, all this, the Tautei whānau, it's not possible without, the Tautei Toa group that comes together, put it together. And I think we've got a flavour now, when people come and now it's become like a soulful place for other people, non-Pacific, to come and learn Fōwhorori Whala, learn how to talanoa. Those are our key principles of engagement. So I think as we're doing stuff, we're modelling for others. We're modelling not only Pacific, we're modelling practice and what works best for our Pacific communities. So
we're also modelling inter-cluster practice. Because that model that we display with our Tautei Pacific RTLB group it just shows, like Ben was saying, that we can work across clusters for the betterment of all our children.
As long as we have the same vision, the same collective goals in mind, and we're all on the same page, it definitely does work. And having regular, get-togethers once a term, including Tautei Plus, it all brings our work together. And it's a celebration, really. We celebrate the work that we do. We have to acknowledge the work. We acknowledge the strength that we bring as a group, but we also, because we're working together, it's a celebration. And it's a celebration of the success we've had so far. Malia, I'm going to ask you the next question here. You've been in education for so many years now. You've been in leadership for so many years, and you've also been a cluster manager. What are some of the successes in the areas in terms of Pacific education that you've seen on this journey so far?
I think for the RTLB service, absolutely Tautei, and what Tautei is doing, continues to do, the generosity. And I'm just going to here just triple thank the cluster managers who, have faith and confidence in our Pacific RTLB so that we can grow this thing, because it's not about us, it's about everybody else. What we grow goes out to everyone else. So I'm a big, alofas to those cluster managers for their support. For me, the successes in education, for me, absolutely 110% is the exponential growth in Pacific principles.
Yes.
That for me is number one.
Just had one. Yes.
So for when I was, when I did my master's in educational leadership, big passion is Pacific leadership. So I had a look at one time at the numbers of Pacific principles. So maybe 2012, the numbers had been consistently low, between 21 and 30 Pacific principles. And even less, from the 1970s, 80s. But in the last 5-6 years, it's like tripled.
Wow.
To now, I think maybe 90 to 100 Pacific principles across the motu.
How do you think that's come about? How do you think that's come about? The explosion of Pacific principles now in position of being a principal.
I think the Pacific principals themselves who were already there, they've done a lot of work in encouraging their leaders in their schools to apply for jobs. Absolutely. Coach them, prepare them, and when they got the job, mentor them through. And also with Tautei Moana, the PLD arm of the New Zealand Pacific Principals Association, that knowing there's a group there to support and grow emerging leaders is probably the most significant thing that's happened. So the OGs like Corinne Hansel, Yosua Esera Fatili, who's just retired, Inosa Alva'a, the OGs, and many before that, who started, who were stood up loud and proud as Pacific principals. From that to grow on to now, nearly 100 Pacific principals. Amazing. But it's principal building and supporting an emerging leader, just like we have done with Tautei, seeing potential, encouraging, mentoring, coaching, pushing them through. When they're there, you continue to mentor. Because I know in the research also says there is so triple that number in middle leadership. And a lot of them are stuck. And when, the research says, a lot of them apply, but they're not encouraged. They're not supported. And then when they get the job, they're not mentored. So I think Tautei Moana, the Pacific Principals Association, going to target that, to help people. There's this thing about how we apply for jobs and how we're perceived. You're quiet. You probably don't know anything. We're not going to appoint you. So how do we have these recruitment processes where you see all the talents of that the people bring, not just what's written on the paper, not the qualification they have. But I think there's a lot of good work that's happening from the Pacific principals to really grow our emerging leaders, because we're amazing. We're pretty amazing people. We have all these talents and skills, but in school sometimes they only tap on one set of skills, and that's pedagogy in the classroom. All good, but what else is there? And we're not always invited to bring our stuff. But then we are invited when it's like Culture Day or Samoan Language Week. But we got more than that. And I think that's about non-Pacific people acknowledging that and encouraging and growing it and supporting it.
I was going to say tokenism, but yeah.
Don't say it, Ben. So what do you think? What else needs to be done to help support our Pacific communities? So like
You know,
families or teachers or RTLB, what more can we do?
I was asked to speak at a church, a very traditional Samoan church last year, and they wanted to know about high needs in a half an hour.
Easy, you can do it. Yeah. How did you solve that?
So I decided I would get another Samoan colleague, RTLB, to put some together to present at this church, very traditional Samoan church. So we had this lovely presentation, and we based it on the relationship, what your relationship with the teacher looks like. Anyway, we presented our presentation. It was half an hour, and then I think the feedback was the parents don't understand the process in schools, the referral process.
Yes.
They don't understand the importance of relationships with teachers. Their thing is, you just leave them at the gate, your child, they will be educated, teachers have the knowledge, and my child will learn. I have no role in this. So by the end of our presentation, they flipped their understanding about that. The knowledge, you are the expert of your child, your learner. We need that knowledge. We need to know all about your child to design the best program, put up the best supports. So I guess for me, it's helping our parents understand all the supports that are available. And if there is an issue, how to approach the teacher. So that you become the team for the child. That was my biggest thing, learning. Lots of our parents don't understand. They're not invited in. They're not encouraged. Yet we demand that they're at the interview on Wednesday at 3 o'clock. So there's still that superficial relational stuff where we can say hi and bye, but and then parents feel, well, that's where it stops. I'll leave them there. But actually, I tell this wherever I go when I'm talking to communities, you're the expert of your child.
Absolutely.
You need to be that teacher's friend.
Yeah.
So you can get the support for your child. And you can have that talk, and you can tell them how there are the struggles at home or the celebrations. But it's the relationship with the teacher.
Yeah.
And I think more workshops with churches, because parents may not come to school meetings, they'll come to the service on Sunday.
Yeah.
So more, because they so desperately want to know. If I have, if I see that my child is having trouble crying when it's homework time because they're not reading, how can I go and have the conversation with the teacher?
Yeah.
Or the teacher will sort it.
So
but it'll help you there.
You have to advocate for your child, eh?
Yeah. So if we flip it, and this time we're going to be looking at teachers, what would you like all teachers to know about when they engage with specific communities and students and families? What would be good advice for them?
Well, I have one advice, and it's on my virtual background. So that is a ia tonga, a fine mat, fine strands that are woven beautifully together and then adorned with feathers. They're so precious. They're worth more than currency. And we gift them at the milestones in our lives: births, weddings, birthdays, and death. Mea sina. So I want all teachers to understand, every Pacific child is a mea sina. They come with their strengths. They come with their, forebears. They come with their ancestors. They come with love and protection. It's a cloak. It's a whala they have. So that's what I want. That's the only thing I want teachers to understand. Our children are mea sina. They're our treasures that we've gifted to you for you to grow.
Awesome.
That's all.
Oh, so good. It kind of relates back to what Kawasawa was talking about, carrying that tapa. Lovely. So what's some advice you might have for Pacific parents when getting their children ready for school? So getting ready for that new entrant level. I've always thought about this, with Georgia, my daughter Georgia, who started school, and then preparing her for school. And then because research shows that if you start school and you're behind, it's going to be very difficult to catch up. So how can we support all parents or Pacific parents to get their kids ready for school?
I think talk. Talk,
Mm.
talk with your child. Feed them with words.
Mm. Great.
And everything else will come. Because there's, you know, and it doesn't come automatically. There's technology, there's a whole lot of stuff that can wrap around the other needs. Feel that your child is loved.
Mm.
Engage them. You know, some of our, and I know this, our parents are the language is very directive.
Yeah.
Get this, do that, do that. That's not the language of love.
Yeah.
Okay. So be interested, be curious. You're nurturing and encouraging the spirit of love for learning in the way that you talk with your child. And for me, it's about the language you use with your child. It's the time that you spend. I see far too many parents and children, you know, they're coming to school, they're waiting or they're doing something, and the parent is on the phone.
Yeah. Or the
child's
child's on the phone.
Or the child's on the phone.
Yeah.
Or they're sitting together, they're all on the phone.
Yeah.
Hey. So they're all buried in these other worlds and distracted when it should be phones away, just talking.
Yeah.
I think there's a way of talking to our children that really nurtures the spirit. It's that encouraging, positive, warm, gentle ways of talking. And then, yeah, I think that to me, that's the way you talk, the way you listen to your children. I think for me, that is the most important thing. And then do the things, read together, sing together, do things together. And in that, the little things, that's where the learning happens. And you're singing your hymns, the words. You know, I tell this funny story. You know, so I was running the Senko Day for our Senkos in West Auckland and other agencies and stuff. And it was Samoan Language Week. So we had pangekes and everything ready, you know, so they asked me to do the grace for the pangeke for the morning tea. So the night before, you know, there's a song that we sing, you know, Malia Tuala for Samoan sing. Yeah, so I thought, okay, then because it's Samoan Language Week, I'm going to write it up so we can all sing it. Anyway, as I'm writing it up, I realize I have been singing the wrong words my whole life. You know, it's Malia. I was singing Malia Tuala. I am the boss of the grace.
You
So
love
I
your name
honestly
that
thought
much?
it was a song about me.
Oh.
But it was in when I had, because I had sung it all my life. I'd seen it, but I'd never seen it written. And when it came out, and that's I had to share it. We were all laughing, but yeah.
I'm going to think about you every time I sing that, Grace.
It is.
I just wanted to mention that you make a good point about devices. Devices are controversial, and for us at dinner time, we have a strict no phone policy, and then there's 3 things that we ask each person who's at dinner, and even if guests come over. So the first one, we always do our highs. What was the high from today? We do our lows. What was something that was a low? And a lot of days there's no lows. And then the last thing is gratitude. So we go high, low, gratitude. No phones every day. And
That's amazing because we're doing that now too. Because I think over the years, we've just been so busy with our lives, our careers, that we really haven't had time to sit down and reflect as a family. And we're doing that now. And it's amazing the change. You know, your kids appreciate you more.
Yes. It goes so
Your
fast.
wife,
They're adults before you know it.
absolutely. Yeah.
And what a lovely strategy to use in a classroom.
Yeah.
Hey, just start the day with that, and we're kind of all
with a buddy.
Yeah. And it's all like people, if it hasn't been a high day, we all understand, okay, we need to be a bit kinder to Johnny because, you know, whatever's happened on the playground.
I have to say, I've been very fortunate to actually visit a few schools that actually do that for their morning. They get together. The whole school does it. Even the caretaker comes and does it. So it's amazing. Yeah, wonderful. Malia, from your expertise as a cluster manager, as a RTLB classroom teacher, what's the best advice you would give to teachers who are wanting to enter our role?
Have really good classroom practice, pedagogy, inclusive practice, and relational practice. And the rest of the stuff we can teach you.
Nice.
And it's only because that was the criteria for our cluster. Just be a really good classroom practitioner, and everything else we can teach.
Awesome.
Okay, Ben, well, you passed the you passed that level. I don't know if I would have got a job at Cluster 16.
So how did you get it?
I just followed my sister. So Malia, are there any readings or books or, you know, Pacific or otherwise that you could recommend for us to read?
Yes, I have. So in terms of Pacific, if you want to understand the migration story, because the migration story in the 70s, this is the era I'm talking about, the Dawn Raids,
Yeah,
it continues to impact our families, you know, the intergenerational trauma that exists. And yeah, like my family, for example, I'm from a very big family, and the older ones experienced, you know, the raids where we were all asleep about 3 a.m, loud banging, you know, doors been busted open, and then we were, you know, marched out. Oh, I think I was 5 years old. And, you know, we saw our mattresses go up, and, you know, there's a lot of tears, and then they were gone. And so, you know, my siblings, I haven't talked about that still. I talk about it because it's part of my, you know, my work, but yeah, there's still, you know, hurt there, but we don't talk about it still. So I think if you want to understand that, the experiences for people, the experiences for Pacific people climbing the leadership ladder in organizations, read the book, A Canoe Before the Wind by Vitali Lafaele.
right.
So Vitali, came in the 70s. He talks about his life, but he was in the police force. So he talks about that journey for him. And so I shared this book with one of my mentors who's in her 70s, Balangi lady, and she took it to her book club, which was like 10 other Balangi ladies, you know, former professionals, and they loved the book because they'd never known about the experiences of people who went through that era. So, and then my other 2 books are the 2 books that I read only because I was writing the mentoring paper, and it's called Unstuck by Adam Atchler.
Right.
And he studies things like happiness. And I think for me, the quote that remains with me from him is, dial down the threat and use them as challenges. So rather than see something scare you that you can't move, break it down into things that are become opportunities to learn. And then my last book is Imposter No More by Jules Stoddard. And she talks about having compassion for yourself, being kind to yourself.
Absolutely. Love yourself.
So those probably 3 books, a lot of learning and growth.
Awesome.
That's great.
Awesome. We'll add that to our list, Bryan, when we send this podcast out. Malia?
Wait, Malia, if you want to, you can send us a reading list as well. Like we haven't covered all the books that you have, but you can chuck us a reading list and we'll promote that.
Yeah, I was just thinking before we move. So, you know, when I'm reading books, I'm always thinking, because a lot of the books I read are from, you know, white, overseas people, nothing to do with my culture. But, you know, I think I'm going to really reflect on what they've shared, because in the end, they are sharing the stories. They are sharing the stories of people they have talked to or looked at the research. So that gives me heart. I actually endorse what they're saying because they've collected the stories. That is the evidence. Because I'm very reflective of the authors that I'm reading. And why am I reading this particular author? But these people, they've done the hard work. They've talked to the thousands of people to give me the wisdom that they have.
Malia, a quote and a whakatauki or and a langa upu that motivates you. What would it be?
Okay, this always number 1. I tell you, it's invisibly tattooed on our head, and I tell people this: o le ala I le pule o le tautua. Leadership through service. Now, most recently, I have come to understand what it actually means for me, and it's in these words: to lead with love and to act with hope. So that is I guess it's the principle of my life. And now I realize that's how I live my life. But now I can put into words. Eh? I think the other thing that comes alongside this, understand your values. Right? Even if you don't know what your values are, do a values assessment. There's heaps of them online for free. But really get to understand your values so then you know how to put it into action. Right? That's my other bit of wisdom I've got to give people. Come from a values-based ethic to live your life.
Yes, live your values. Lovely.
Yeah.
So just thinking about it, what would be some advice that you would give a younger Malia, if you could go back and give younger Malia some advice for her life? What would you tell her?
You know what? I wouldn't tell her anything. I wouldn't give her advice. I would just tell her.
Ben, I told you not to ask this question. Oh, pass it.
I would just.
Course, Bryan.
Okay, this is my advice for my younger Malia. You are going to have some amazing people come into your life. Just be ready and be open.
Yes.
That's all. I've had a blessed, and I continue to have a blessed life, and it's that. The people come in, they test you, they push you, they stretch you. So what is the learning in that? And what is, when you're facing a challenge, I think I flipped it now into what is the gift from this? What is the gift from the situation? And no matter how hard it is, what will I learn? What will I gain? When I think about all the things that I'm going through at the moment, that just lifts my spirit and it flips my thinking. And and I just to continue to give thanks in everything.
People or someone who inspires you?
I have a mentor. He's 83. He inspires me because he refuses to be sidelined. He inspires me because he has a fierce spirit and a commitment to living. But his life is committed to living and prayer and action.
Nice.
I think that I have so many people that inspire me, but the fact that you can live so long and still be positive about life and still commit to love and, to me, it's a wondrous thing. I've met some older people and they're over it, they're more cynical, but not this mentor. Sees the good in everything, sees beauty in everything. It's hard to find a person like that in this day and age.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're, that toxic positivity, they're faking it, they're trying to be, they're not. And they stop me when I talk to them. They just stop me in my tracks sometimes. To stop and appreciate what you have.
Definitely.
Oh, that's lovely. We're going to do some questions now. We're going to go to the wheel and let's hope that
But what those other things then?
No, but this is a question that we all have to answer.
Okay.
All right. So let's spin the magic wheel of
We've got Bryan's favorite casino.
Yeah. All right. And if it's a bad question, we'll just do it. If you could have any job for a day, what would it be?
Oh, job for a day.
Is it
You guys know what I think.
Oh, okay. Remember, I fail when I go first.
Job for a day. Malia, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Prime Minister? President?
Oh gosh, no.
It's only for a day.
Job for a day. Job for a day. Just for a day.
You know what I'd do? If I had a job for a day, I would spend it singing. I would spend it singing with the elders.
Nice.
I'd take my guitar to a rest home and I'd just sing all day.
Nice.
I think I'd like to be a librarian.
Any
maybe
particular
not
library?
just, no, maybe in like the Auckland Library, or maybe overseas, a library with unlimited access to the books. Because imagine all that knowledge from the ages written down, and you know, the kind of books where you have to put a glove on and then turn the page. That would be interesting.
Oh, I know. I would be a chippy for a day, carpenter, because then I would appreciate what my dad did in his job, and the reasons why he worked so late and came home so late, because he was working on the sites, and I only experienced a little bit of it. My brother got to experience it, and he said it was very hard. It was very hard for him. And I never got that chance, and I always wanted that opportunity. So yeah, I'd be a carpenter for a day. I might learn actually quite a few things on how to renovate my own house.
You would be in the builder.
Being the builder.
Can he fix it?
Don't worry about Bob. Can I fix it would be the thing.
Great one, Ben. Let's go for another one. I hope it's not the same one. Okay, what's the most challenging thing you've ever done? Oh, these questions.
I'll go first. Leaving my role as a teacher to do RTLB. It was a big leap of faith, but I trusted what I was doing was right at the time. I think the classroom gets a bit much. It starts to get heavy, especially when you have so many roles and responsibilities, and then you have to look after a class of students who most of them have high needs. I think, yeah. But I loved it so much that I ended up being at the same place for 16 years. I finally got to the end of it where I thought, you know what, I need to put my family first, and I need to enter a role where I don't have to think about work after hours. And this opportunity came, and sometimes you have to go with your gut feeling and trust in the universe. The universe led me to where I am today, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
You could have been a carpenter, but yeah.
No,
but I guess RTLB is a good second choice.
I think stick to teaching, Ben.
If you're a carpenter, the expectation from your wife is, can you build this? Can you build that? However, you know.
Yeah. True.
Probably for me, in all my roles as a parent, as a teacher, as a leader, is when you have to give distressing news. That is always a challenge, because it's not just it's the news, but it's the impact on the people. Yeah. So my thing is always about, and I will often talk to other people before I find the words to, because in that split second, the relationship changes between you and the person you're giving the message to. So for me, it's about the framing of the words, and it could be words in terms of performance, someone's performance, a loss. Yeah. So for me, it's when you got to share, when you're the person that has to share that news that that's going to cause distress.
That's
challenging. How about you, Bryan?
I think every life has plenty of challenges. But the one I'll share is, I think being a parent at 19, like I always say, I started early and finished late, but at 19, when my daughter was born, and then her mum at the time, she had to stay in hospital. And so I had to come home and look after her for the first week of her life. And I was 19, and my mum supported me to do that. And I mean, and when you're 19, you don't even know yourself. Yeah. So to be a parent and to have, I think that changed the whole trajectory of my life. I think before then I was like, oh, I don't care, and you're there, and just real young. And then being a parent so young, it's just like, you have to be a bit more mature. So
you grew up 10 years ahead of your time, Bryan.
Yeah, that's why I'm so childish now, is because
that's why you got no hair.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was after the fourth child, but yeah. So So yeah, being a parent is a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
You have to really think about it before you make that decision. Mm. Do you want to do another one, or do you want to move on, Benno?
Yeah, let's do a light one.
Well, I don't. Okay, let's.
You did put some light and breezy ones in there, eh?
No,
Bright and
no,
breezy?
I don't know. I'm not in charge. The wheel is in charge.
Blame it on the wheel.
Yeah, blame it on the wheel.
Blame it
And
on
if
the
I can't
wheel.
blame the wheel, I blame Ben. But you know, let's hope for a light
24/7.
one. What's your favorite? Oh, okay, here we go.
Ooh, favorite Apple website. Well,
Favorite
at the
app.
moment, Life 360, because I can track where my daughters are and my son is, and my wife.
Life 360. What is that?
It's like a what is it? A GPS tracker that you have on your phone. You can see your family where they are.
Stalker?
It's a good thing, because then I know I don't have to, I don't have to worry about them.
Oh,
I know that they're safely at home, or they're at university, or they're having a cafe, or they're meeting with family. It's actually a pretty good app.
interesting.
Takes the worry out.
Mm. Well, I'm loving on Claude AI.
Ooh.
Claude AI. Okay, what's that?
Claude AI. That's the one of the AI tools that you can use at the moment. So I love the fact that there's ChatGPT,
Yeah.
but I love Claude AI because they are so relational. It's like having a conversation.
Oh wow.
And similarly, when they write stuff, it's just warm and just lovely. So
I've got to
I'm
try that.
enjoying talking to Claude AI at the moment.
I'm going to try that.
Is it? Do you use that if you don't have any friends, or?
And it's not a dating app.
Oh, okay.
So you
Interesting.
can ask it any question and it'll come up with stuff,
Wow.
I think it's just
I'm going to try that.
it seems to be a more mature version of ChatGPT, just more kind of senior. But yeah.
What's that app called again, Malia?
Claude
Claude,
AI.
CLAUDE AI.
Don't go on it right now, Ben.
Oh, sorry.
Stay focused. Didn't we just talk about devices?
Hey, sorry, my phone was right there.
Okay, I'll tell the story. So, my mum passed away last year, and then my mum always used to go on an iPad every day, and she used to play her games. And so, my sister Rose gave me the iPad and said, "This is for Georgia," and then I haven't wiped it yet. So I've been going on recently and then just playing all her games. So solitaire and all those, and yeah, I don't know. It's
Nice.
therapeutic for me, and then I've just been doing that. So I don't know. It gives me an excuse to waste. I've been playing a lot of free cell and solitaire and things like that.
That's
connecting with
actually
her.
surprising.
Yeah.
I thought you were a 24/7 workaholic.
No, Ben.
And solitaire, Ben.
That's
Remember, he's bright. He's bright.
Now
He's
I'm
bright.
going to play that and talk to Claude.
If you want Claude to
Yeah.
write something, he can write it for you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we got to try that one. Cool. Okay. We're going to go to that question from Sonia Johnson that she asked last
Bring
week.
it on.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. If someone were to sum up your life at your funeral, after listening to your eulogy or tributes at your funeral, what is one sentence they would say about you?
It's not a sentence. It's probably 3 words. And I think it would be, the 3 words would be, my life was a journey where I could engage, entrust, and endure.
Engage, entrust, and enjoy.
Endure. So it's about my love for connection, my love for the connection that brings us together, that sustains the journey.
Nice.
Yeah, I've never been one to do things by myself. I'm a very introvert person.
Same.
No, really?
But I'm also, but for me, it's about we were built for connection. Eh?
Yes.
As
Agreed.
much as I love, my time, but
Yep.
I have to live in community with others, with others. But
That's
we
right.
have to be able to trust each other.
Yep.
For that, to endure. So
be-
engage and trust, endure.
Love
Nice.
that. Okay, Malia, it's your turn. Do you get
What
to
would your
ask
next?
question
What would your
for the
question?
next
Yeah.
person?
My question is very simple. What are you most proud of?
Okay, the
we have
trick
to
is
answer
that we have to
question.
answer it.
What am I most proud of? I am most proud of.
Ben, are you allowed to go first? Remember?
Okay.
Remember what happened when you went first last time?
Oh, it just went horribly wrong.
Malia, do you want to go first?
Yes. What am I most proud of? For myself, I'm most proud of my spirit. People often say I'm calm and I'm gentle. Yes, I am, because I have a fierce spirit of, I guess if I look back to those words, it's the whole commitment to leading with love and acting with hope. That's my spirit. And that's what I'm proud of for me, because it's going to get me through this journey of life, get me through the challenges. Sometimes challenges are like, I feel sometimes people will tell me, if I'm facing a difficult challenge, Malia, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And when I think about that challenge for me, when I look at it, it's Mount Everest. A marathon is, you can pace yourself, and there is where you're going to run. It's predictable. Mount Everest, yes, predictable, but you don't know what's going to happen to you. But I have my oxygen mask. I have, the right gear. I've got a team around me, and I'm going to get through it. I want to get to the top. So I think it's, I'm proudest of my spirit. Taken 56 years to build the spirit, but it's people that have built my spirit. It's being in community with others.
Nice.
Lovely.
How about you, Bryan?
Hey, Bryan.
I think I have lots of things to be proud of. I'm proud of where we are here with our tautai. I think that, like you say, we've built that together, and I love that. But I think to tell the other side of that story of being a parent, which was, a very scary thing to do, I think I'm proud of where I am now as a parent. And I've got 4 beautiful children, and Georgia gives me an opportunity to do the things that I didn't know when I was starting out. And then just having that experience of teaching, and then just having that talanoa and all that stuff that I've learned over a lifetime. So I've been very blessed to have an opportunity to do it again. That's nice. Probably me. Ben, okay, now you've heard us answer.
I was I'll be good. I will be good. I'm actually proud of the fact that I've been able to make those changes in my life where I really needed it. I'm proud of the fact that I did leave the classroom. I did leave the front lines to pursue something that was different. It wasn't a challenge. It was just for me another journey. And I'm still going on this journey. I'm proud of the fact that I know when I'm going on from strength to strength, I also need to move from one place to the next place to grow myself professionally, to grow myself as a leader, but also to grow myself spiritually. And it's been an amazing 50 years so far, to the point of, if I think back on my life, where I was at the beginning, where I was brought up in a way that was challenging for my mum and dad, but to the point to where what they did to get to where I am now, and you can't repeat that. And it's very special. It's everyone has a unique upbringing, and the way they've come from such a long way to get to where they are now, to having their own family. And yes, I am proud of being a parent. It's probably one of the joys I have, having that connection, knowing, things that you could do that you've done differently, not necessarily the same as what mum and dad did, but in a different way. That's what I'm proud of. So I hope, see, no jokes on that one.
I guess like it goes to show that those moments that seem most challenging, it gives you the most growth. You feel proud when you overcome that, eh?
Yeah, and I believe that you know those challenges are actually a test to you, to see, okay, you know what, you've done well up to this point. I'm just going to throw you a challenge at you, and it doesn't matter who throws that challenge. It's the way you approach that challenge, how you handle it, and how you move forward from it, and learn from it.
I guess it's also contributes to that growth mindset.
Yes, love it.
And that flipping that challenge to become an opportunity to learn.
Absolutely.
Grow.
Absolutely.
Ryan was saying.
Yeah.
Lovely. Malia, I think our time is up. I just want to say thank you for coming and talking to us and whatever this is, our podcast. We love you and just wanted to hear your story, and it's fantastic. And I always see you. I love your intelligence, and I love the way you listen. I love the way you talk. I always see you as my like cultural advisor. I just remember the story of when Ben wanted to draft an email, and I said to him, and he was like, "Oh, should I this? Should I that?" And I said, "Just send it. Malia will fix it. Just send whatever. Just write something, and Malia will just put it in a beautiful, like a beautiful gift, and wrap it with a bow." So, yeah, we love working with you, and we look forward to more of that.
Yeah.
Ben,
I'm very grateful, Malia, to have this opportunity to actually have known you for probably what is now 8 years now, and in those 8 years I've learned so much from you. Inspirational leadership is one of them. Carrying the torch is another. Going out there and doing what you do best to support our communities is something that you're also passionate about, and that's what's made me drive to further my skills as a leader. You're going to be, no matter where you are, just remember that we are always here for you, and we send you lots of love and light and lots of prayers your way. I think you're an amazing person, an amazing practitioner, and no matter what journey you're going through, know that we are there to support you forever. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So we send you with love and light, no matter where you are, no matter what your journey is. And we hope that you can keep in touch with us throughout your next stage of your journey.
Amen.
Amen.
Are we finished?
Yep. Yeah.
I was going to say, Bryan, now you can ask Claude to write those emails.
you could have just said it then.